All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the elect. All right, today we're going to get into First Samuel, the 17th chapter. And let's get right into it. Salaki about background. You may hear some fireworks, but Lord willing, you can still hear. You guys can still hear me clearly. All right. So this is the book of First Samuel, chapter 17 and 1, and it reads, Now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle, and were gathered together of Shokor, which belongeth to Judah, and pitched between Shokor and Azekah, and Ephes Daimim. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together, and pitched by the valley of Elah, and set the battle in array against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on the side, and Israel stood on the mountain on the other side. And there was a valley between them. So you had them stand on one side, and then the valley, and then Israel stand on the other. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines, named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. And he had a helmet of brass upon his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. Damn, so you can imagine that's pretty heavy. And he had greaves of brass upon his legs, and a target of brass between his shoulders. Damn, he was wearing all this heavy ass stuff. I mean, back in the day, that's what they had to wear, for protection. They didn't have like guns back in the day, so like, you know. And the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and the spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron, and one bearing a shield went before him. Damn. So he had Goliath wearing all this armor, and he was the champion of the Philistines. The best. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel, and said unto them, Why are ye come out yet? Why are ye come out to set your battle in array? Am not I a Philistine? Are ye servants to Saul? Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. If he be able to fight with me, and to kill me, then will we be your servants. But if I prevail against him, and kill him, then shall ye be our servants, and serve us. And the Philistines said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man, that we may fight together. When Saul and all Israel heard those words of the Philistines, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. So you can imagine this big ass guy coming out, this tall. He was tall too. Coming out, send someone to fight with me. Of course, you gotta put yourself in their perspective. It's like, yeah, will you really be able to go up against that? Like, you mad tall and big, like wearing all this shit. Once if I slash him once, that shit's just gonna bounce right up because of the amount of armor and the weight of the armor he was wearing. Damn. Where was I? Verse 12. Now David was the son of the Ephraite of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse, and he had 8 sons. And the man went among men for an old man in the days of Saul. And the 3 eldest sons of Jesse went and followed Saul to the battle. And the names of his 3 sons that went to the battle were Eliab, the firstborn, and next unto him Abinadab, and the third Shammah. And David was the youngest, and the 3 eldest followed Saul. But David went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. One second. Okay, so you have But David went back and forth from his Saul to tend his father's sheep. Okay, so you have David going back and forth to tend to his father's sheep at Bethlehem. Okay. Okay, so the three sons, the eldest three sons, went and followed Saul to the battle. But you have David who was going back and forth. Verse 16. And the Philistine drew near morning and evening and presented himself 40 days. What does that mean? Let's see. So the Philistine, Goliath, came forward every morning and evening and took his stand. Okay. So he presented himself. So Goliath went up to the camp of Israel every morning and just presented himself. Okay. He waited there because he wanted a champion to fight. And Jesse said unto David his son, Take now for thy brethren an ephah of this parched corn, and these 10 loaves, and run to the camp to thy brethren, and carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of the 1,000, and look how thy brethren fare, and take their pledge. Now Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah fighting with the Philistines. Okay, so the father wanted to know how his elder sons were doing. Okay, and to bring something back to like reassure him. Okay, makes sense. And David rose up early in the morning and left his sheep with a keeper, and took and went as Jesse had commanded him. And he came to the trench as the host was going forth to the fight, and shouted for the battle. For Israel and the Philistines had put the battle in array, army against army. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage, and ran into the army, and came and saluted his brethren. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion of the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words, and David heard them. Okay, so he had Goliath coming up to the camp every day saying the same thing. He wanted to fight a champion. Okay. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him and were sore afraid. And the men of Israel said, Have you seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Israel is he come up. And it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. And David spoke to the men that stood by him, saying, What shall be done to the man that killeth this Philistine, and taketh away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of the living God? Oh, shit. Yo, David. Yo, David, bro. I'm going to read that again. And David spake to the man that stood by him, saying, What shall be done to the man that killeth this Philistine, and taketh away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of the living God? Damn. I wanted to see what reproach means. Real quick. Taunt, scorn, disgrace. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Okay, disgrace. Take away their disgrace from Israel, yeah. Damn. So David was like, yo, who the fuck this nigga think he is, bro? Who is he to defy the armies of the living power? Like, nah. Oh shit, David, bro. And the people answered him after his manner, saying, So shall it be done to the man that killeth him. And Eliab, the eldest brother, heard when he spoke unto the men, and Eliab's anger was kindled against David. And he said, Why camest thou hither? And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride, and the naughtiness of thine heart, for thou art come down that thou mightest see the battle. And David said, What have I done? What have I now done? Is there not a cause? And he turned from him toward another, and spake after the same manner. And the people answered him again after the former matter. Damn, David. Slack, give me 1 second. Alright, so far you have, the Philistines and Israelites are at war. Then you have Goliath, which is like, he's huge. He's tall and big. The war is a champion from the Philistines and came out every day to in front of the Israelite camp, the camp of Israel, and he basically challenging them to send out one man to fight. Whoever wins, the loser will serve the winner. And then you have Goliath mocking the Lord and the Israelites because like no one's coming out, so he's thinking he's almighty and shit, and no one's brave enough to face him. And then you have David. His father sends David to deliver food to his brothers in the army. And then David, he's hearing what Goliath is saying, and it's like he's shocked because like no one's stepping up, and he's like, yo, y'all niggas hearing this shit and y'all not doing nothing. Like David was pissed at that. Like come on, did you not slap? But yeah, that's what's going on so far. So now let's keep reading. Verse 31. And when the words were heard which David spake, they rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for him. And David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine. Oh shit. So you have David saying that he will go and fight Goliath. And David is small, he's like, and this kid, he's a shepherd too. So like he's saying that he'll go and fight the Goliath. No one else would. Damn. And Saul said to David, thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. And David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he rose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. Oh, shit. Yo, you had David out here killing lions and bears that just took this a lamb. Oh shit! Like just imagine. I don't know which order he killed them in though. Let me see. I went out after the cup and rescued the lamb from his mouth. If the animal, okay. So he's saying he would chase after any animal that took a lamb, and if it arose against him, he caught it by the beard and smote it. Oh my days, David, the Lord's really David, man. How do you catch a lion or a bear by its beard and you smite? You had, what? Man, the strength these men had, bro. Man, oh man. That servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing as he have defied the armies of the living power. You can tell David was pissed, because like, the same way David slew those lions and bears, David said he's about to handle Goliath just like that. It's like, as soon as he heard the demand disrespect that was being said, he was like, nah, it's not happening. Nah, we're not doing this. Nah. Make a mockery of the Lord and his people. Nah, we're not doing that. Not today. David said, moreover, the Lord that hath delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go and the Lord be with thee. And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put an helmet of brass upon his head. Also he armed him with a great coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and assessed to go. What does that mean? Determined. Be pleased, be determined. To agree to show willingness. Okay. Be willing, okay. For he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off. Oh, he didn't. Okay, let me see. Yeah, he's not used to them. Yeah. David put it on, strapped the sword over it, and took a step or two to see what it was like. For he had never worn such things before. I can't go in these, he protested to Saul. I'm not used to them. So David took them off again. Yeah. Because, all he's been doing was like tending his father's sheep and stuff. He was a shepherd. So, like, he's not used to putting on all this armor and having all these weapons up with him. Assessed. Okay, that makes sense now. Verse 40. And he took his staff in his hand and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook and put them in a shepherd's bag, which he had, even in a scrip, and a sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. And the Philistine came on and drew near unto David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, and ruddy, and of a fair countenance. And the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog, that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. What staves mean? Yeah, he had stones, so it had to mean like a stone. Okay, rod, staff. Vertical wooden post. Okay, staff. So Goliath felt disrespected. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. Then David said to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield. But I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. This day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee, and take thine head from thee. And I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. Yes, sir. And all this assembly shall know that the Lord saved not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. And it came to pass, when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag and took thence a stone and slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with his sling and with his stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Hey, that's the power of the Lord, man. He killed Goliath with a sling and a stone, not with a sword. Shit. And he had Goliath wearing all this armor and shit. But yeah, hey, David said the Lord would deliver him. He had faith in the Lord, no questions asked, man. No questions asked. He just didn't like what was coming to his ears right at that moment. Yeah, nah, we're not having this. Not today. You know? Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. Of course. Their strongest warrior was slain for slinging a rock. Man, of course they fled. And the men of Israel and of Judah rose and shouted and pursued the Philistines until they come to the valley and to the gates of Ekron. And the wounded of the Philistines fell down by the way of Sharaim, even unto Gath and unto Ekron. So the Philistines ran, and Israel chased after them. And the children of Israel returned from chasing after the Philistines, and they spoiled their tents. And David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem, but he put his armor in his tent. He kept his armor. And when Saul saw David go forth against the Philistine, he said unto Abner, the captain of the host, Abner, whose son is this youth? And Abner said, As thy soul liveth, O king, I cannot tell. And the king said, Inquire thou whose son the stripling is. And as David returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, Abner took him and brought him before Saul with the head of the Philistine in his hand. And Saul said to him, Whose son art thou, thou young man? And David answered, I am the son of thy servant Jesse, the Bethlehemite. And that's the end of 1 Samuel 17th chapter, Alright, so, basically a quick summary. You have, Goliath, which is the champion of the Philistines. He openly challenged Israel, and that awoke in fear, that caused fear to spread in Saul's army. And then you have David. He steps up to fight him because he didn't like the disrespect that was coming to his ears. So he decided to fight him, but not with armor, weapons of war, or anything. Just with a sling and a stone. And he had full trust and faith in the Lord. David ends up defeating Goliath with a single stone. And then, the Philistines ran because they saw the champion was dead, so Israel chased after them, And after that, Israel had won the battle. And then, yeah. Alright, that's about it. Well, really, that was edifying. And until next time, shalom.